this course, we want you to learn why nutrition is important for athletic performance. A lot of athletes don't understand why nutrition is important, and they think that just because they are really good at their sport right now, they can keep continuing what they're doing with their nutrition habits instead of trying to improve them. We're going to learn about and apply the SMART nutrition principles. So the SMART nutrition is our philosophy here at Impact Sports Lab. We want you to understand the basics of nutrition and how they apply to you. Every body is different, literally every body. So we want you to be fueling how you need for your body to achieve your goals. Just because you play the same sport or same position as someone else doesn't mean that you should be fueling your body the same way. Everyone is different, so we want to make sure you're getting exactly what your body needs. And we want to develop the skills to help you make healthy choices. So it's easy when someone's there to tell you what to do, but how are you making those choices when you don't have someone holding your hand or helping you make those decisions for yourself? We want you to be able to make those decisions and apply these principles of this, what that looks like. So it's obviously nutrition, skill development, strength and conditioning, sports psychology, so that mental piece, sports medicine and rehabbing from injuries. And a lot of times athletes are, putting a lot of time and money and effort into skill development and strength and conditioning. So they're going out and working with coaches one-on-one or paying for extra sessions in the gym. They're paying lots of money to go work out or be conditioned by the one-on-one coaches. And you see this even at the highest level guys training for the NFL Combine. They're working on that skill development and then the strength and conditioning piece. But kind of that rehab piece, the mental health piece, and nutrition get overlooked. But really, these three, the sports medicine, nutrition, sports psychology, can really add another layer of athletic performance, keep you healthier, keep you performing longer. But like I said, most people are overlooking these areas. So the goal with this program is to give you the knowledge to start to implement some new changes and take control over your nutrition and make sure that you're being the best fueled on your team or in your sport. So when we think about nutrition and athletic performance, all these different areas are impacted. And there's even more than just this list, but I wanted to throw a few up here. So obviously your general health is going to be impacted. When you're eating good, healthy foods, you're going to feel better. You're going to be healthier. Your body composition, so how much muscle mass you have, if you're able to build up more muscle mass, or maybe you just want to get stronger at your same body weight, like being able to be stronger, or maybe in some sports you have to be a certain weight class, like wrestling. So all those kind of things can be impacted by how you're eating and hydrating. Your immune health, so eating the right foods and certain kinds of foods to help boost your immune system so that you stay healthier. Because if you're sick and missing practice or missing reps, then obviously you're not going to be the best of your ability and not performing at a high level. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your immune system good and strong. Injury prevention. So a tired athlete, a dehydrated athlete, that's a recipe for injury. Also, it's more likely if you're dehydrated and underfueled that you're going to have some cognitive issues as far as quick decision making, thinking processes on the court or the field that can lead to injuries as well. Recovery, so after hard workouts, putting the right foods and fluid in your body to make sure that we're building up our bodies to be bigger and stronger, giving ourselves the energy and fuel to even do those activities in the first place. And then hydration, because about 60% of the body is water, so we have to be constantly hydrating, keeping those muscles well hydrated so that we can perform well, don't cramp, don't pull muscles, and can stay on the field and finish our workouts. Now, SMART Fueling is the Impact Sport Lab kind of nutrition philosophy. These are the 5 basic things we want our athletes doing all the time. And really, if you're taking care of these 5 basic things as the fundamentals, you're going to be a lot better off than a lot of athletes who are competing today. Because like I said, most people are just overlooking the basics of nutrition. So the SMART Fueling acronym is S, starting with breakfast. M is matching fueling to your activity level. A is always hydrating. R is remember to fuel often. And then T is think lean protein. So we're going to go through each one of those now. So starting with breakfast, everyone talks about how breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And it's partially true. I mean, breakfast is definitely important. And really, this is your first opportunity to fuel your body for the day. So you've been sleeping for 8-9 hours. During that time, you're fasting or not eating because you're asleep. So when we wake up, we're in an energy depleted state. So we want to be able to put fuel in our body that's going to give energy for our muscles, energies for our brain, to kind of take care of whatever's ahead that morning, whether it's a workout, whether it's school or work. We need energy to take on those tasks. Individuals who eat breakfast tend to have more healthy body weights. And typically this is because if I'm eating breakfast earlier in the day, I'm giving my body some food and fuel, then I'm going to be less hungry and less likely to overeat later on in the day because I've already had some good nutrition early on. And a lot of times I'll hear from athletes or individuals that they don't like breakfast food. And that's fine. Anything can be breakfast. It doesn't have to be breakfast food. You could have a turkey sandwich for breakfast or spaghetti and meatballs. I've had athletes who have, steak and potatoes as their breakfast because they don't like breakfast food. There are a lot of different options. There's a lot of different foods out there. So just because culturally, those foods might not be typical breakfast foods, really you can have any kind of food for breakfast as long as it's giving you some good nutrition. And in fact, if we look at a few research studies, athletes who ate breakfast squatted and benched more than athletes who didn't eat breakfast. As you can see in the graphic, average of 10 more reps on the squat and 3 more reps on the bench, which is pretty significant when you're thinking about performance in the weight room. If you can do more reps on the bench or more reps on the squat or lift more weight, you're going to get bigger, stronger, faster, more powerful, a lot quicker than someone who's not fueling their bodies and not eating breakfast. So breakfast is really, really important. Matching fuel with your activity level. So when your level of activity changes, we have to change your type of eating as well. So if I'm really, really active at some points during the year, then obviously I need to be fueling to match that activity so I don't feel tired and depleted. And maybe I'm in the off season, I'm not doing much training, or my workouts are not very intense, then my fueling is going to change as well. So it's really no different than, changing your workout regimen. Athletes will go into the gym, they have a certain goal that they're working on. Maybe it's to get bigger for a period of time as far as more muscle mass. They're working on that. And then at other points of the year, they're working on just getting more powerful or faster. They're not worried about getting bigger and stronger. So obviously their training is changing throughout the year. And your nutrition is going to change throughout the year as well. So we shouldn't be eating the same all throughout the year, because typically our activity level is changing throughout the year as well. So when we're more active, we need more fuel. And if you're less active, we might need a little bit less fuel or maybe just a little bit of a different type of energy to meet our needs. So here is a moderate day training plate. And this is kind of just the standard go-to training plate as far as it's 1/3 of everything. So as you can see here, I have my fruit and veggie is 1/3 of the plate. My complex carbs are 1/3 of the plate. And then I have protein, which is 1/3 of the plate. Now we're going to go through what each of those types of foods are. But as you can see, like I said, they're all balanced. And then as we are less active or more active, these ratios are going to shift. So maybe I need more energy, I need more fuel. So my complex carb, which is the fuel foods, are going to increase. So A is always hydrating. So again, I said 60% of the human body is water. Our muscles are 75% water, and our brain is 85% water. That's a lot of water in our body, right? So if we're, running around, we're sweating, doing all these kinds of activity, we're losing water through our sweat. So we have to be able to put that water back in so we can stay hydrated and our muscles can function well and our blood can pump through our, arteries and veins, and get the fuel to where it needs to go, essentially. So water helps every organ in the body. So we need to drink water every single day. We can't really store a lot of extra water and then use it for later. Every day we need to be hydrating. When we don't drink enough water, our bodies become dehydrated. So sometimes you might feel like a dry throat, or you might feel like you're going to cramp, or maybe just feel a little bit fatigued. All of those are symptoms of being dehydrated. Dehydration is going to negatively impact athletic performance. So that might be in the form of cramping, feeling tired or fatigued, increased injury risk because we might have some muscle pulls because the muscle is not being able to move as easily. It's a little tighter. Reduced reaction time because of the mental piece. Being dehydrated is going to make you react and think a lot slower. again, poor decision making, or even heat illness. So in the summertime, if it gets really hot, if you're outside, or maybe you're a football player wearing pads and you're losing a lot of sweat because it's really hot, plus you have the equipment on, or a lacrosse player, there's some examples where you might be losing a lot of sweat and you can become really overheated. So if we're not constantly hydrating throughout practice or going into a workout already hydrated, then we can have an increased risk of becoming overheated and having some issues with that in the practice. So how much fluid do you need every single day? So we're going to take a look at a quick example here. The easiest thing to do is just to take your body weight and divide it by 2. And that's going to give you the fluid that you need in ounces. So there's a few examples here where the body weight will say 120 ounces, or 120 pounds, excuse me. Divide that by 2 is going to be 60 ounces, which turns into about 8 cups a day. And that's for minimum, without really any exercise. We look at a 180-pound athlete. Divide that by 2 is going to be 90 ounces. So we're looking at 11 cups of fluid each day. 1 cup is about 8 ounces of fluid. So if you think about, most folks are told, but you're supposed to drink 8 to 10 cups a day to stay hydrated. Well, this is just the minimum for a normal person of these body weights to stay hydrated. So when you factor in my activity, whether it's working out or exercising, things like that, playing in the game, I'm going to be sweating, so I'm going to need a lot more fluid than just these minimums here to hydrate me. So this is just the minimum that you need, and a little bit later on we're going to talk about how much more you need based on the type of activity or how much you're sweating. Then as athletes, we're very active, so we need a lot of fuel and a lot of energy to perform and have our bodies do what we want it to do on the field or in the weight room. So we need to remember to fuel very often. That means not skipping meals, making sure we're getting some snacks in throughout the day. But really, because our athletes are working hard, we get to fuel our bodies, right? So without that fuel, our bodies are going to feel tired and sluggish, not have a lot of energy. Maybe you're feeling fatigued, not be able to finish the reps in the weight room, or you're feeling gassed, midway through a practice or a game, instead of being able to feel really strong all the way through the end. So you can imagine, trying to drive a car without any gas in the tank. The car's not going to go too far. Or maybe you're planning a long road trip and you only filled up half a tank of gas, excuse me. You're not going to get too far because that half a tank is going to only last a little bit of the trip, and you're going to have to refill up again. So our bodies are kind of the same way. We need to constantly be fueling, putting gas in the tank so that when we go to do our activity, we have lots of fuel stored up, ready to be used by the muscles. So ideally, we want to try to eat every 2 to 4 hours throughout the day, depending on your sport and body weight needs and energy needs. So you can see as an example here, we have a well-fueled athlete, and then we have an under-fueled athlete. So you can see over the course of the day, we have breakfast, snack, lunch, pre-training snack, and then dinner. So the well-fueled athlete is eating every 3 hours or so throughout the day. They're getting in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. They're fueling their body. So that athlete's going to feel pretty good going into training and going to have a lot of energy to perform at a high level. Versus this underfueled athlete who wakes up late, skips breakfast, maybe doesn't really eat anything until lunch, or they have a light lunch, then they might eat something, before they go into training. They're going to have dinner at home. So they miss this big window of opportunity in the morning to be able to fuel their bodies, and they're going to feel really tired or maybe really even hungry later at night. So we want to try to avoid this and be the well-fueled athlete. Now, thinking lean protein. So protein helps to build and repair the body. Protein can come from animal foods like chicken or fish, or even plant foods like beans, nuts, things like that. But ultimately, not all protein is created equal. So we really want to focus on, like I said, lean protein, because those are going to be healthier for the body and help us perform and recover a lot better than proteins that are higher in fat content and maybe not so healthy for the body. So an easy way to think of this is the less legs rule. So if you think of most animal proteins come from a particular animal, right? And if you think about how many legs that animal has, it can kind of give you an indication of how lean that protein is. So you can see over here at 4 legs, we have cows and pigs, which are the 4-leg proteins. We have chicken and turkey, which are 2-leg. And then, for example, for 0 legs, we have, yogurt, which is no legs. It comes from a cow, but yogurt itself doesn't have any legs. Eggs, again, don't have any legs. And then fish don't have any legs. They have fins. So we want to choose those less leg proteins, the 2-leg proteins or 0-leg proteins, more often than our 4-leg proteins. Again, because those are going to be a little bit healthier for us, a little bit lower in unhealthy fats,